All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching us from today. You're welcome to another session with DOBAC. And today we're talking about everything Power BI. We have Lucas here. Lucas is a Microsoft certified, Power BI analyst, and he's gonna give us the fundamental skill set to build as a business analyst. So without much ado, I'm gonna bring in Lucas to do justice today. So, Lucas, you're welcome to the back, and you have the floor.
Thank you, Dave. First of all, thank you for this opportunity. It's great to talk about Power BI. Mainly nowadays, is one of the most popular tools in terms of data analysis and business intelligence. So, and I'm glad that people from all over the world is joining this session. I would like to hear from you. You can type in the chat where you're from and what's your expertise level in Power BI, what's your job position, and why you decided have you decided to join us today. I'm very curious about this. Um, Today I'm gonna start the presentation right now, just for you to have an overview of Power BI. Uh, we are just going to learn like basic but very interesting stuffs about Power BI. I'm not gonna dig into details, but you're gonna see a great overview and about data storytelling as well. So can I start? I will start sharing my screen. Just give me a second. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Great. Great. So first of all, I just would like to introduce myself. I am Master of Business Information Systems in Politechnika Wrocławska in Poland, but actually I am Brazilian. I decided to move there to do my master's degree, and then I came back to Brazil. Right now I'm living in Brazil again, and I have more than 5 years of experience in data analysis. After a while, I decided to become more a data storyteller than just a data analyst. And I'm gonna explain you why in the next slides. And also, I got my certification, my Microsoft certification 2 months ago. This is one of the most reliable certifications in terms of Power BI. And I have my own company. I am the independent consultant in data analysis. So basically what I do, I provide those not only dashboards to the company, but more like a consultant. I do some subscription, some like monthly subscription, and I provide them the insights every month, if like helping directly their team. It's more like a consultant's job than just a developer job, what I'm doing right now. And I believe this is much more useful to the companies, because I see in the market nowadays, people are just building, sometimes they're just building beautiful dashboards, and it's not the purpose of BI. Or I believe the most important thing, it's always to tell stories with data and to drive decisions with data. And I'm gonna explain the next slides why this approach is important. Just to cover what we will learn today. First, I'm gonna give a brief introduction of the dashboard building, some very important techniques, and the types of dashboards, and later on 10 essential visuals you can build. And of course, a tutorial, a live tutorial. I'm gonna take like raw data to a clean and insightful visual with you guys. So if you don't know anything about Power BI, don't worry. You're gonna be able to build at least one visual with some data storytelling also. I would like to also, you also can enter in this link right here. I'm gonna, can I type in the chat the link?
Yeah, you can, definitely. Let's do.
Okay. Just give me a second. Great, here you are. But this is for later, okay? Just for you to keep it in mind.
No worries.
I also would like to recommend these relevant books from Cole Nussbaumer and also Brent Dykes. The techniques I'm gonna show you in the next slides are, most of them are based on those books. So I really recommend, I think these two books are like, are essential for data analysis. They help me a lot to build my dashboards, and also the way I think today. It's based on these books. So I do recommend you reading these ones. So let's start with dashboard building. I always tell people that a dashboard is like a joke. If you have to explain it, it's probably not a good one. That's something you have to keep in mind. And also, I start asking 3 main questions to my clients before building something, to avoid those useless dashboards. I see many companies, they have plenty of dashboards, but nobody uses that. The most important thing, sometimes you can have just only one dashboard, which is useful. That's the most important thing. First, I start to ask, who is the end user of this dashboard? And what's their level of expertise in terms of data analysis? And the most important question, how much time do they have to explore the data? Some people, they don't have 2-3 hours to analyze a dashboard, but some people do. Depends on their job position. That's why I also ask you what's your job position today, because for data analysts, they can spend 2-3 hours. They're gonna compile what they found and give to the manager or to the CEO. But if a manager is looking at the dashboard, sometimes he has like only 15-20 minutes to find what he needs. So the way you're gonna build this, it has to be very customized according to your user. The second main question is about how. What kind of KPIs or metrics are important for this user, and how he can identify how can we access this data? Where is this stored, and how it's going to be updated? For example, it's going to be manually updated, automatically. How are we going to build this process for him? Sometimes the companies stop here because they don't know how, where this data is stored, or sometimes it's too expensive to get this data. All right. And the last question, but not least, why? Why does he need this information? What kind of decisions he's going to make after getting this data? And is this dashboard for monitoring, exploration, or reporting? I'm going to talk more about this later, but for exploration is more for data analysts. For monitoring is more for managers, and reporting is more for decision makers. He doesn't have time to explore too much, so have like, let's say 5 minutes to make a decision. So it's more like reporting, like weekly reports, monthly reports. Later on, I'm gonna show some examples of each of them. And the most important thing was the end goal of having this information. And this is a great question, because sometimes the manager, the end user doesn't know what's the end goal. He just wants to see the data. And having this question, it's really important before building the dashboards. And also, while you are digging more into the data, you can find some insights and also share with the end user, and maybe he can also change his goal. So just keep in mind those three main questions. Those are really, really important before you start building a dashboard, or while you are building a dashboard, you can come up with new questions. All right. I'm going to have a brief introduction about the dashboard design. We build the dashboards according to the Z pattern and F pattern. Basically, it all depends on the. It's more like personal, but I would prefer to use the Z pattern. Usually, most of the users, they see the dashboards. They start looking at this point, the start point, and go through the right, and then they go back and left, bottom left, and then they go to the right, bottom right. Usually people see the dashboards in this way, but it's not a general rule. You also have the F pattern. So you have the filter section in the left side, and the graph one here, and the graph two here. Also, you can add some data storytelling to this dashboard. It's totally up to you, all right? But I personally prefer the Z pattern, and the most common one. Do you have any questions still here? We are all good?
All good. No questions at the moment.
Okay. We're gonna move on. Okay. Let's start with the types of dashboards. This one, it's fully interactive. This target audience is more like for data analysis. And you can have cross-visual filters. For example, you can select, you have the employment status. You want to see this data only for a male audience. So you select male, and everything is going to change. Let's say you want also the age group between 25 and 34. You also can select a specific group, and everything in the dashboard is going to change. This dashboard was more for market analysis, right? This is this data comes from blind test, coffee test they made in the United States to identify, and our goal here is like we're kind of investors who wanted to build some coffee shop. So you want to understand your audience before starting your business, for example. And then here you can explore the data to find the proper audience for you. You also have sections with the budget of the people and also the personal preferences here. You can access this dashboard live over here. I'm gonna send you the link in the chat. So you can play around and explore the data. You can have you can spend hours to find your audience before building your business. So that's why it's more for data analysis in this case. It's more exploratory dashboard. So the data analysis time, it's high. You're gonna spend a lot of time probably. And the data storytelling level, it's very low, almost nothing. this case. All right. I'm just gonna send the link of the dashboard in the chat. So if you are curious about exploring a little bit. Okay. Do you have any questions here? Oh, good. Oh, good.
No questions, Lucas.
Okay. Okay. So the second one is partially interactive. It's more for managers in this case. And in this dashboard, I have built like only drop-down filters, right? And the data analysis time here is moderate, and data storytelling level is also moderate. Why? So he only can select the quarter and the manager name, and he will see some insights here based on that. Here are the total sales and percentage change of this manager in this selected quarter. The weekly sales, you can see like the top performer in that table in the top. And also you can see some data storytelling over here about that specific table. All right. The same applies to the total sales by product table here, where he sees that he can look at the table and some also some information about this table over here. Same applies to the other tables in the right side. This more for, as I said, is a sales dashboard for managers who want to monitor sales. And he can analyze this data very quickly, maybe 15, 20 minutes, and make a decision. That's something also good for those who don't have a lot of time to analyze data. I'm gonna send this dashboard also in the chat. You can play around. Just give me a second. And the last but not least, the static dashboard. It's more like it's a report. So in this case, and this was my submission to the Power BI World Championship. It was a few months ago. And we needed to create some data storytelling regarding the topic environment. So I have decided to use the global warming in this case. So for this case, I create some data storytelling based on the impact of the third industrial revolution on global warming. And as you can see, it's very easy, it's very informative, and it's for someone who doesn't have time to analyze data. It's ready to make a decision. All right. So there are no filters in this case. It's just a report, and this is a PDF report. You can update as you can download as a PDF if you wish. I mean, and the data analysis time it's very low, but the data storytelling level it's very high. For these cases, you need to explore the data a lot before building this report. So it's not so easy to do, but it's really good for CEOs and decision makers, right? I'm gonna also send this dashboard in the chat. So let's now start with the visuals, all right? Just a second. I selected 10 essential visuals in Power BI, which we can use. The first one, of course, there are tables. The pros and cons of tables. The pros, it's like you can show exact values. It's good for detailed reports, and you have filter and sort. You can sort the table accordingly, and supports conditional formatting and icons. As you can see the arrows here. You can see some icons. This is really easy to understand. As you can see the legend here, so it's very easy to interpret with the icons and colors, right? And it's very flexible. You can add as many columns as you wish. But the cons are it's hard to spot patterns. It's not good for quick insights. You cannot basically identify anything here. And yeah, it's just the most basic visual here. And the cards also. The cards are great for KPIs. They are easy to read. They support icons and colors. But the problem, if you have too many cards, it's a bit messy. Doesn't show trends. It's not interactive. Also, you cannot click in the card and change the visuals. So it's more static, but it's very useful. All right. You can add, for example, besides the total sales, for example, you can add percentage change. Also, icons helps you to visualize it better. You can play with the colors, which is quite good. And of course, the pie charts. I have to tell you, the most of the data analysts, they are against pie charts. But I have to tell you, it's the most common chart, and most of the people understand. But you have to be careful when using them. It's most for percentages, and it's easy to understand. But it works with small category sets. If you have a lot of categories, pie charts are not good. And I wouldn't recommend if you have more than 10 categories, for example. Usually what I do, if I have more than 10 categories, I combine the list categories into other category. I name those categories as other, which makes it much better in terms of visualization. It's not good for detailed data and can be misleading sometimes, mainly if you have like very close values between them, right? And of course, you have the bar charts. These are one of my favorite ones, and they are easy to understand. And instead of pie charts, I would prefer to use bar charts. Why? Bar charts, you can use, for example, average line here. You can have more than 10 categories if you wish. And you can play with the colors very well also. And you can also add different, for example, you can combine. Here you have company size and you have the sector as well. Combine it. So it could be very useful here. And for example, in this graph here of the total revenue graph, the values which are below the average are in red, and above the average are in blue. For someone who is analyzing this, it's really easy to understand. You can also use for time series, but it's not the most recommended one. For example, here's total revenue by week. You can see the percentage change for every week, right? The problem is like if you have too many categories, mainly in this first chart, this purple one, it can be a little like messy, all right? So you have to be a bit careful with this. The waterfall charts are quite similar to bar charts, but this case is more for financial. They show step-by-step change. It's easy to spot increase and decrease, and it's very, very useful for financial data. The cons is not everyone is familiar with this, and color choice matters a lot in this case. If it's negative, of course, it's red, and positive, it's green. The problem is like if the person is colorblind, you have to think about this as well. There's a web page I'm gonna show you later where you can just drag your dashboard there and see if it's colorblind friendly. This is really important for those who are building dashboards. This chart is not good for comparing categories as well. It's just for comparing step-by-step change. So line charts, one of my favorite ones as well. It's great for time series data. You can see trends over time. It's minimalist and clean. And as you can see, some examples here. The first one, it's the daily glucose trends of one person. So the maximum and the minimum values are there, and you can compare them. This is a great graph. I'm gonna send you later the link. And the problem is, as I said, it's not ideal for categorical data. For example, this blue one, you have plenty of categories here, and it's not easy to interpret. But if it's interactive dashboard, once you select that specific category, it's going to change, all right? So it depends on the case. This one with the total revenue here, you can see the highest value in blue and the lowest value in red, which is very useful for decision makers. And also, you can see in the last one with the orange line and gray line, you can compare variables with this visual as well. All right. But in the worst thing also, it needs clean and consistent data, which means that if one of the years or one of the days are missing, you don't have like it's not good for line charts. That's why the data has to be very consistent. Well, we have now scatter plot charts. Well, these ones are showing relationships between variables, right? They help to identify outliers, can show clusters, as you can see with the customer segments here. You can see some clusters like potential loyalist, promising champion, at risk, needs attention. This is really good for marketing also, and spot trends and patterns. For example, here we can see the total sales by opportunities created versus opportunities created, and finance and technology are one of the best ones. So the cons is like it needs numerical variables, all right? And too many dots can overlap, of course, and doesn't show exact values clearly. That's the cons of this graph. We also have heat maps. Heat maps are good and easy to spot patterns. You can have a quick comparison also. And it's great for showing intensity. For example, here you can see the total revenue by day. And you see the 27th of this month, it's the revenue was higher. On the other hand, the right graph shows the total orders by weekday and period. You can see the Mondays at night, they got more orders, all right? So this is this visual, it's really good to spot those patterns, mainly for decision makers. The cons, like it can be hard to read sometimes, depending how you build this, and color choice matters a lot. All right, but it's not great for small data sets. Maps are good. Maps are good, but visually they are good. But in terms of data analysis, sometimes not. I'm gonna explain why. Let me ask you a question. What's the lowest neighborhood in the orange section? Sometimes you can't tell. You have to zoom in. Sometimes you have to drag the mouse inside that specific neighborhood. And for detail, it's difficult to find like very detailed information with maps. I rarely use maps in my reports because of that. I prefer to use bar charts. Desculpa. Sorry. I would prefer to use bar charts instead, because bar charts, you can have more detailed information. But basically, maps can be good for, it's visually engaging, of course, and helps to spot patterns by area. For example, you can see when the area is more like darker, which means the sales were greater in that specific area, for example. But the cons I already mentioned, it doesn't show exact values. There's a risk of misinterpretation as well. And also depend on accurate geolocation data. What I mean about that? When you build maps in Power BI, you need latitude and longitude, but you can also build with postal codes. The problem with postal codes is sometimes Power BI identify postal codes outside of that specific country, which means sometimes you have a US postcode, but Power BI identifies this postcode, I don't know, in Brazil. And then you have to switch some information there for Power BI to understand that postcode is in the United States, not in Brazil. Also, if you want to build some customized visuals, if you have, for example, the name of the neighborhood is different in the map, and in your data set is not going to match and is not going to show in the map. So you have to be careful with typos in this case. Just for you to keep in mind, like maps are not sometimes are not the best choice, and it's hard to build. These ones, for example, you are looking at, these are like customized maps. Well, for example, it's the city of Porto Alegre, where I live right now. And the neighborhoods here, I needed to customize the names for this to show properly. And I download this map in the government webpage. So the names of the neighborhoods had to match the government names for this to work properly. And it took me a while. Imagine like more than 30, not more than 50 neighborhoods So just for you to keep in mind, it's not so easy to build customized maps. It takes a while. By the way, these are reborn charts. Reborn charts are not the most common ones, but can be useful. It shows change over time. It's a good comparing like ranks, and works well with few categories. If you add more than, let's say, 5 categories, it can be a bit confusing. And it's not good for exact numbers. For example, if you see the first column here, the first week, the orange column doesn't show the number here because it's too small, right? And since this graph is less common, people can get a bit confused, but basically this total orders by week number, it shows, for example, chicken pasta, the purple one. It was in the top. It got more orders in the first week, also in the second week, but in the third week, it dropped to almost the last position here. And then again, in the fourth week, it went to the top again. Well, this can be good for you to understand how well your products are selling and when. Okay. Do you have any questions about the visuals? Or can I move on to the tutorial session? So do you have any questions, guys?
Yeah, hi. I was gonna ask. I'm really new with Power BI, so I was gonna ask if we could get names of all of these visuals you mentioned on Power BI app itself.
Yes, you can. They are like native visuals. They're native visuals, all of them.
Okay, are they all named on the dash on the Power BI application itself for
Yes.
us to select? Oh, okay, okay.
You don't have to buy a license, extra license or something. They're not custom visuals. I'm gonna explain later about the custom visuals, but all of them that I showed you, they are native visuals.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can we move to the tutorial? I guess people are curious about how to build some of the visuals. All right. Can you see my screen again?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we're gonna go from raw data, which is this. Imagine we only have this data here, which is date and total revenue, only that. From that table, you can build all of these visuals here. All right. Today, we're gonna learn only the first one. All right. But just to keep in mind, you can build this, all of them, just with this data. All right. You have the link to the files in the chat. All right. So let's start. Can you see my Power BI?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you just go to the files and download. I'm gonna show you. You can download only revenue and which is the CSV file, and the tutorial. All right. You can download only those two to start the tutorial with me. You can also open the step-by-step just to see what we are doing, and also the formulas. All right. So first of all, just create a new page here, blank page. All right. And now let's add our background. We just go here, come the background, and then you open that. So you have two options here. If you prefer the Z pattern, which is the filters are at the top, or the F pattern, which is which the filters are in the left. I would prefer the Z pattern, where the filters are in the top, but it's totally up to you. Sorry again. So this image was great. Then you go here and fill. Also remove the transparency here. This image was created in Canva, but you can also create in PowerPoint, or Figma is also good. This is a good approach, and you can use your creativity here. But basically, what I do, I just create the background, and later on, I add the graphs here. All right. So after that, you go home and get data, text and CSV, and here you are. Now we have this data, and we select load. Just a second. I'm just gonna turn off my camera for a while I'm presenting Power BI, because it can be a bit heavy. Okay, and here's the table. All right. Many people use like directly date, but the best approach is to create a table called a dimension table. We call dimension table called calendar. You'll see later why. So here you create a new table. You can go table tools, or you can go here and create modeling. It's up to you. So you click here and new table. In the step-by-step document, you see the formulas, right? So the formula to create the D calendar, it's over here. I'm going to explain briefly about this formula. This is going to create a table with starting on 1st of November of 2023, which is our starting date of our database here. And it's going to end on 3rd of November. But instead of this, you can also write today, for example. and it's gonna be it's gonna be more interactive. But in this case, we're gonna just write 3rd of November. Once I select this formula, look what's gonna happen. I'm gonna have this table with date, year, month number, month abbreviation, month year, quarter, day, weekday name, week number. So this allows us to build much more formulas related to our for our visuals, right? That's why it's important to create this table. Most of the Power BI developers, they do that. Later on, okay, we create this table. Now we have to connect those tables, of course. So you're gonna create a relationship. You go to model view over here, and you're gonna drag date from the calendar to date revenue. You're gonna create a one-to-many relationship and single, which means if I select only calendar can filter revenue, but revenue cannot filter the calendar. Okay, this is the best relationship you can have: one-to-many and single, which means one value can relate to many values in revenue table. One value in calendar can relate to many values in revenue table. All right. So click save. All right. So now we have the first thing we're gonna do is to create a filter. You add filter here. And you drag date. You have to drag the date from calendar. As I said, calendar filters the revenue table, not the other way around. So always add date from calendar and other fields from here. All right. So here you are. You can switch the slicer settings here. Let's remove and okay. Now it's better. You can switch colors here, color of the background. Maybe you can switch to like this, visual border. The values can be in black, okay. Okay, now I have the filter over there. So the second thing, let's create a measure called total revenue. And I'm gonna explain why. You can simply, for example, you have the card here. You can simply drag here and then select sum of total revenue. Okay, it's also okay to do that, or average, for example, or minimum, but this is not the best approach. The best thing to do is to create a formula to create a measure for that. Then you go here. Total revenue. It gives you the same output, but that's the best approach you can use. So let's leave the total revenue here, just for us to understand the data. Just switch the title. Okay. Maybe we're gonna change the background like this. Now I have the total revenue there. Okay. Now let's create the line chart. The first one we found here. All right. Let's do that. See, while I change the filter, also the total revenue changes. All right. So first of all, to create that chart, we have to select the clustered column chart visual, this one. And I'm going to explain why later. So you drag the date from the calendar, not from revenue. You drag total revenue. Okay, here you are. Once you drag the, once you switch the filter, it also changes the graph. And the second thing we're gonna do is create the. We realize that we have the highest revenue on 27th of November. And the lowest, it's on 8th of November. We want to highlight those points, as you see in the example. So the first thing you have to do is to create a measure called revenue max day. You go here, and you create here. I'm gonna just switch something because I want to show something to you. Just give me a second. I'm gonna explain why that part of the formula it's really important. Now you can see, for example, let's see. Yeah, it appears here. So it's the maximum. It is the highest value here. Once I switch the filter, it's also gonna change the maximum day here, the highest revenue here. Okay, let's do it the minimum amount. Yeah. So the same formula, but we just switch the to min. And as you can see, it's the same value here. All right. Okay. Now, the next step is to create a measure with conditional formatting. All right. We go here. What it means, if the total revenue is equal to the maximum value, it returns green. If the total revenue is equal to the minimum value, it returns red, and the other values return gray. You can also use the X number here, right? That's what I did. So let's do that. Then you go here, you select the visual here, and you select the conditional formatting. Why did I choose bar chart instead of line chart? Because at this point, if you have a line chart, you don't have this option here. Look, you don't have this option. That's why you have to use the bar chart first. Then you have this option. It's just a bug in Power BI. Probably they're gonna fix this later, but it's now what we can have. It's what we can have nowadays. So you go here, and then you go to field value, and add your conditional format line chart. What happened? Everything is in green. I did it on purpose. You know why? If you go here and you see the formula here, the calendar. So this is considering the filter. But if you add all, it's going to remove all filters, which means that look, regardless I choose the filter here, the maximum value doesn't change. As you can see, it takes for all month. But as you can see, the maximum value doesn't appear there because it was on 27th of November. Now I'm selecting till November 19th. So it doesn't appear there. What I have to do? Instead of all month, I have to choose all selected. So everything that I select in the filter is going to reflect in the maximum value. Now it's correct. So here, considering till 19th of November, the maximum value was this one. It was on 14th of November. But if I consider the whole month, then yes, then it's 27th again. And see, it changed now. Before it was not changing. See? This is really important for you to know, like, about this function, all and all selected, all right? So in this case, he summarized the days by total revenue, all right? The all selected days by total revenue. I'm gonna do the same for minimum value, and look what what's gonna happen. Now it's better, right? So minimum and maximum value here. But we wanted the line chart, all right? So what we're gonna do right now, just gonna switch here, line chart, bingo. But I don't want like blue line. So I'll go here, and I go here. And I have the X color over there, which is this one. Bingo. Now you have here. So you can switch it also. So here, the markers. You can increase the size if you wish. All right. And you can also add shade area, which is much better. All right. You can also change a bit of the visual in terms of data visualization. You can remove also values over there, or you can keep the values. I would use only can remove the grid lines. In this case, are not needed because we want to see the trend. All right. Okay, just switch something here. Just look more beautiful. So here you are. You have the line chart right now. What do you think, guys? Are you following? So what do you think? Are you following? Did you find it easy or not? But this is the first step. I would like to also show you some data storytelling approach according to that graph. Okay? Can I move on? Do you have any questions till now? Sound good? Okay. So let's move on. Okay, now you have built your visualization. You can show the highest point and the lowest point. And the interesting thing here, once you switch the filters, it's also changed the maximum day and the minimum day here. See? Right? Because of that formula I told you with all select. All right? Okay. Now we finish the first part. Let's tell more about data storytelling approach. So we're gonna create now a measure called total revenue all selected. Remember that formula I told you about all selected? We're gonna use here again. Why? Instead of adding it here, you're gonna add this one. All right. This is gonna be used later, but just for you to keep in mind. Now we're gonna have the top 3 days of that specific time frame, of a specific time frame. So you can have this formula here. Top 3 days. So basically, it's going to take the top revenue. It's going to calculate the top, the sum of the top 3 days revenue. Which means how much is that? Let's see. $55,000 is the sum of, like, it's this. Let's take a small time frame here. The top ones here, for example, like 40K, it's here, plus here, plus here. These are the top 3 in this time frame. All right. So just for you to keep in mind what we are doing. Now we're going to create a measure called the percentage of total of these top 3. How much this represents. So we're going to create a new measure over here. So basically, we're going to divide the revenue of the top 3 days divided by the total revenue with all selected. Remember about this. And let's see how much it represents in the total revenue. %. But I don't want this format here. I want percentage format. So I go here and switch to percentage and 0 decimal place. I want 0. Around 19% of the total revenue. And now we have this information. We know that 19% of the total revenue comes from those from 3 days. But what days are these days? So now we're going to create a new measure to identify what days we are talking about. So we go here. So basically, it takes the top days and brings it to us. Oh, sorry. It takes the top days, and then it returns in a text format for us. I'm going to explain why, because later on, we're going to create a date storytelling. So here you are. Let's see what are the top 3 days. 2nd, then 7th, and 14th. Look, these are the top 3 days. This represents almost 20% of our total revenue, those 3 days. Okay, great. We have this information now, but I'm not satisfied. I don't want to show my manager like just cards. I want to show them a short storytelling. So the first thing you're going to do is to add a custom visual here. It's narrative. You add this visual over here. And you're creating custom. Power BI creates a smart narrative based on AI. But sometimes it can be misleading. All right. I would prefer to write this by my own. So I delete this and I create my own text here. So what you're gonna do, you're just gonna add some customized text here. My suggestion is this, and the blank values here. I'm gonna add the measures I created. All right. Let's just increase the size of the letter. Okay. I want to say that 19% of the total revenue was generated on those 3 days of November. Here, in this blank space, you're just gonna add value here, and you have the first one, which is this measure here. Sorry, it's still loading. Yeah, it's there. 19% over here. Now I want those 3 days that I added, which is this. Okay. Now I have in my calendar here, I also have the month and year. I want that specific one here. And here you are. So you can delete those cards. It was just for showing some examples. So here's your first dashboard. 19% of the total revenue was generated on 2nd, 27th, 14th of November 2023. All right. And once you change the filters, look what's going to happen. Also, this visual changed. Now 36% of the total revenue was generated on 12th, 2nd, and 14th of November 2023. So this visual, it's interactive as well. The date storytelling, it's according to what you select. And of course, the creativity is all yours. You can add many different visuals, many different data storytelling approach. So it's all up to you. This is just a simple example to show what Power BI is capable of, and it's unlimited. You can build many things here, and I believe, like, as a business analyst, this is a really important tool, and I hope you like this tutorial, and I hope it's going to be useful for you in your daily basis. So if you have any questions, you also have the files there. If you have any questions, you can also reach me out. But for now, is this. Let me just come back to you guys. So from my end, this is the tutorial. I know that's very simple, very short, but I believe I hope you like it. And I just would like to thank you all for joining me today. And let's connect. You can just follow me on LinkedIn if you are looking for more data visualization content. I'm always posting something new there. And here's the QR code. You can just scan it, and it's gonna redirect you to my LinkedIn profile. And feel free to ask any questions right now.
Thank you so much, Lucas. This was an amazing session, I must say. So guys, if you have any questions, this is an opportunity for you to ask all of your questions and get first-hand answers to all of them. So let's give a few minutes. you have any questions, please, you can raise your hand to ask. You can drop them in the chat box, so Lucas can attend to them. Lucas, I must say, okay, go ahead. You want to say something? Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you very much, Luca. That was a wonderful presentation. Mine is not a question, but I just want to get your opinion. For a new beginner like us, like myself, particularly with little or no experience for Power BI, this feels like a lot. How do I get started? What's the baby steps to take to get to this level that you are? That's just my question.
Well, there are a lot of courses on the internet, also some free tutorials on YouTube. But the most important thing is to, as I said at the beginning of the presentation, to understand your audience. I don't recommend you doing advanced stuffs if your end user is not ready for that. I would recommend you to play with native visuals, very simple, as I did with conditional formatting, and also very simple visuals, which can bring you like great insights. You know that simple visual we did today? Like, it's a simple visual just with conditional formatting and with some data storytelling. This is perfect. That's not something very, very difficult to do. And I don't recommend you going for, like, let's say maps. I read mention about maps, for example. It's a bit hard. And other like reborn charts also can be a bit confusing. Go to the simple one: bar charts, line charts, pie charts, tables, maybe heat maps. You can also use heat maps. Go for those very simple visuals, and you can build a lot of very interesting dashboards with that.
Thank you very much for that, Lucas. Thank you.
Hi, Chrissy. You can ask your question.
Hello, Lucas. Thank you so much for your lecture this evening. It was really inspirational. The aspect I really want to ask was that area of that coding where you were clicking on you clicked on some words, some coding. I saw some coded message. I don't know where you got that from. You know, is it from the information you got from your data online, or you just, it's as a result of what you were just able to navigate your way through it and be able to create the visuals?
You mean the code? You mean the formulas?
Yes.
The formulas are like DAX formulas. It's almost the same. It's very similar to Excel formulas. Okay. It's not very, very hard. If you take some beginner's course, you're gonna learn the basics about these DAX formulas, which are really important. Then you can start with simple measures, as I showed you, for example, with calculate function and filters, all selected function, that one that I showed you, that's really, really important. Now go to the simple ones.
Yeah.
Also summarize, and it's really not hard. If you know some Excel formulas, it's gonna be very easy for you to jump into DAX formulas.
Thank you.
Christy, I want to believe that answers your question, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, how about you, Benjamin?
Yes, thank you very much. That answered my question. Thank you.
All right, do we have more questions? Do we have more questions? Please ask all your questions now. And if you want to connect with him, he's very approachable. He already posted his the QR code for his LinkedIn handle, I believe, on the presentation. However, if you go to the chat, his LinkedIn profile is linked. His LinkedIn profile URL is linked in the chat, and so you can go through the chat to link and connect with him, ask questions when you have them, and I believe he's going to provide answers to all of them. So I believe we have given enough time to people who have questions to ask, and it's amazing because if people are not asking questions, since we have one or two, it means that, Lucas, you have really done an amazing job, and most people, I believe, got a hold of everything you have said. Most people got a hang of it, and I want to say a very big thank you to you. Thank you for honoring our invitation. Thank you for being here tonight with us. And thank you to everyone who have joined us today. If this is your first time on one of our sessions like this, welcome to the DOBAC community.
Thank you.
We're all about supporting business analysts to grow, to, provide resources, sessions like this. We do a lot of hands-on sessions, practical sessions. So if you're more of a hands-on person, you're not going for the regular theoretical stuff we have out there, you want to see practical stuff like this, more of them, then do also join our community. You can follow us on LinkedIn. And also, when you follow us on LinkedIn, you'll be able to follow our community, join our, closed community. So LinkedIn is a page where we put out things, but we still have a closed community where we give premium resources to our people, and so you can be part of that. And if you have been with us, thank you for joining us once again. It's been amazing having you all here. I think with this, I'm going to be putting out the resources which is shared. If you want to have them for yourself without going to the page, you can just copy them from the chat. However, we'll be putting it out there so that people who want to, go back to them, practice, and take a look at them again can do that. So I'll probably, before ending the session, just give a few minutes so you can copy out the resources from the chat. By the way, let's do just a mini exercise while people copy this using your best emoji for the night. Let's appreciate Lucas. Lucas, thank you.
Thank you very much. It was
Thank you
amazing
so
section.
much.
Thank you, everybody.
This session is what a lot of people pay for, and you are here giving it to us like for free. It's so in depth, and so thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, I believe we must have copied it, and so we have come to the end of this session. We would communicate if we have more sessions. Definitely we do. So we would communicate that, and that's why I'm asking you all to go and follow our LinkedIn page, the David Odepidan Business Analysis Community. Join us so you stay tuned to our page and get more information on more practical sessions. Thank you, guys. Good night to everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Yes.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
So
Good
much.
night.